Hey, I'm Laura Story, and I get to be part of WayFM's The World's Biggest Small Group. I have always believed that this book is true. Ever since I was a little kid, I remember going to church and hearing that the promises that God's given us are something I can always bank on. And even though I've always held that to be true here, sometimes there's things in life that we go through that make us wonder whether it's true here. About 10 years ago, my husband and I went through a trial when Martin was diagnosed with a brain tumor. It was a little less than 2 years into our marriage, and those words, brain tumor, are words that no one ever imagines that they'll hear. And since then, we've spent the past 10 years really trying to adjust to this new life of living with a disability. And not just adjust on a logistic level, as he has a memory deficit and a vision deficit. We've had to also learn to adjust on a spiritual level, because I feel like everything that we had believed, everything that God had promised us, it's like we were kind of relearning how to trust those promises. One of the passages that most ministered to myself and my husband, and still does, is found in the Psalms. Psalm 13. It's almost as if we catch David on one of those days where he's wondering whether what he believes here is really true here. And he starts off saying, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" And just a side note, it's so comforting to read those kind of statements in the Bible. Have you ever wondered, God, have you forgotten me? Why are you hiding from me? I'm seeking you, I'm crying out to you, but I don't hear from you. I don't feel your presence. Have you ever felt shaken like this? Have you ever felt abandoned? Have you ever been betrayed? I love this passage because David is honest. He doesn't sugarcoat it and say, it'll be okay. I'm just having a little bit of a rough day. He says, God, I feel like you've forgotten me. And I love that this gives me permission to say those kind of things to God in prayer. But I love that David doesn't end there. He says, but I have trusted in your loving kindness. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. My two favorite things about this passage, first of all, it's honest. We don't have to pretend like everything's okay. We can say to the Lord when we feel betrayed. We can say to him when we feel forgotten. But secondly, he ends with hope. And he says that he is going to trust being having faith even when we can't see the outcome that we're looking for. Whatever situation I feel stuck in, whatever pit I've fallen in, believing that there is salvation to come. Maybe it might not be the way I want. Maybe it might not be on my time frame, but God is a God of salvation. And lastly, he says, it's believing that God's track record of faithfulness in my life is so sure that I'm going to praise him now, believing that he is a good and faithful God and that I will see goodness in the midst of my hard time. I don't know what you're walking through right now, but I pray that this passage encourages you not only to be honest with the Lord, but to look to him for hope. Often we look to God changing our circumstances for hope, but I'm learning in the midst of my life looking so different than I thought it would, that there's a big difference between hoping that God will change my circumstances and actually placing my hope in the person of Jesus Christ. When we place our hope in the person of Jesus Christ, there's a joy we can know in our souls that surpasses any changing of circumstances, any reconciling of relationships, any healing of health issues. It's a joy that we have that no one and no thing can ever take away.